Hello, I'm Rachel Garrett from GBC News. Today's story is about a bill that is being debated in the Georgia legislature right now. The bill is about child prostitution and deals with children under 16 being involved in the commercial sex industry. The bill calls for child prostitutes to be viewed as victims rather than criminals because at their age they're legally unable to give consent to sex anyway. State Senator Renee Unterman represents North Gwinnett and is the driving force behind the bill. President of the Georgia Christian Coalition is Jerry Luquire, who is totally against the bill. I sat down with both people to talk about their sides of the issue.
What I don't like is putting a child behind bars and not giving them an opportunity to have therapeutic services, to have counseling, to work through their problems. Every teenager makes a mistake, and I don't think you should be punished for the rest of your life for a mistake that you make when you're 12 years old.
And when a girl is 15 and under or 16, if she's committing these crimes, what happens when she becomes 18 or an adult? Without any crime or without any charges, she can enter life as an adult without any bad past. Whereas I think you're responsible for what you do. And the crimes, the arrest, they're a matter of public record and should be.
The two disagree about the system of care the bill proposes. Unterman says that it gives the girls a chance at a normal life, while Luquire says that it decriminalizes prostitution. Both of them also disagree about the way the girls are brought in the first place.
I think what increases the recruiting process is, number one, girls seeing on TV what's happening, and number two, one girl talking to another girl about how much money they make. And I think very often it starts as a lark in high school. Just on a wild weekend, they decide to go out and see if they can make some money, and then they meet people whose job it is to recruit prostitutes, and then they're into the game.
Most kids who get involved are enticed by other adults for profitability, and that's where the exploitation comes in. It's not a group of 14-year-old girls that get together and say, hey, we want to be prostitutes. That, to me, just doesn't happen. I've raised a girl. That just doesn't happen. It's people who exploit. There's money. There's profitability.
Both Luquire and Unterman agree that the men involved should be punished, but Luquire says that the law that's on the books right now isn't comprehensive enough.
Of course the law is on the books. In fact, it's statutory rape, but very, very seldom do they use that as a charge. They'll use soliciting or leading a child, what's the law contributing to delinquency of a minor, when it should be statutory rape. Get the guy too. Yes, they're separate matters, but it takes two. It comes together with sex. So let's punish them both.
Well, I think anytime you detain a teenager, that's punishment. If you put a teenager and say, you're going to stay in this facility for 6 months and you're going to get rehabilitation, to me that's punishment.
Both Unterman and Luquire agree that the internet is a big contributing factor to child prostitution, but should be dealt with different consequences.
Unfortunately, what has proliferated the sexual exploitation of minors is the internet and venues like Craigslist, where you can actually go on Craigslist and order up a 13-year-old blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl, and they will meet you at a certain location.
I think that the same laws should apply on the internet. If a girl entices men on the internet, she should face the same charges as soliciting on the street.
Unterman and Luquire have different views about the children's willingness to share important information about their pimps and how they got involved in the first place.
It removes the stigma of being arrested, the responsibility of the consequences of the act, and it removes the right of the policeman to use some leverage to extract the name of her Johns, or if you want to call them Johns, of her customers, and if there's a pimp involved, the name of the pimp. The arrest is primarily a leverage. They're not going to put these girls in jail. Very seldom do they end up in jail. They end up maybe in a juvie hall or some home, but the arrest has got to, the threat of crime and arrest has got to be there in order to get information from them.
You're not going to get any information from a teenager who's very hostile anyway. But if you make them feel good and increase their self-esteem, they're going to rat on their pimp. And they're going to tell you, and that is our goal, is to get the pimp behind the bars, not the victim.
Now this issue is very complicated, and Senator Unterman is currently working with some juvenile court judges to work on the language of the bill to include a risk assessment for the girls that are brought in, and from there they'll decide how they're treated with the system of care. For GBC News, I'm Rachel Garrett.